Hi everyone, Jason here. I just wanted to put together a video to thank everyone who's helped me with my Extra Life for my sixth year of doing Extra Life. And as of right now, which is the middle of November, I've raised $800 US for Sick Kids Toronto. We had a lot of issues over the weekend when I was actually gaming for Extra Life. First off, I actually lost internet on Halloween night, and so I actually didn't have internet. It was very spotty for the entire weekend, so it made it really difficult to basically stream live. But even worse, the Extra Life website was actually hit with a DDoS attack. That's an attack where basically like zombie computers just ask for dummy data onto any server. And what happened is that basically the real data, the people actually going to the website to donate, couldn't get in because it couldn't differentiate the difference between real and fake data. However, it did get recovered, and I'll go into it a little bit more later on, but there is, the donations still can be done until the end of the year in case you wanted to donate over the weekend and didn't get the chance to. I'll put a link in the description below. Okay, so let's go on to the game list, and I'll give a little bit of a rundown while I put a little bit of, this way. I'll put a little bit of video on it so you can see what I was doing. I might stop from time to time to show some of the funny points that happened during my gameplay as well. So I started off with a game that I've been playing for a while, because basically it's a procedurally generated game. This is a game called A Robot Named Fight. The idea is that procedural generation means that it will create a new world, and so every time you play it, every time your character dies and starts a new game, the world is completely different. The items you pick up are completely different. It allows a lot of variation, and somehow it works every time. And from a programming standpoint, that's pretty amazing that you can have a game where areas are gated off by, like, say, an electrical barrier, and you need an electrical weapon, and so somewhere before that you have to be able to find that electrical weapon. It's kind of amazing, and I've always really liked it. It's a fun game. It had a lot of scaling. It got more and more difficult the more times I beat it, and I really enjoyed that one. Yep, good start. Just go right into a glitch world. Okay. This is probably not going to last long. I'm not very good at this game, especially not in the glitch world. Oh, and I'm dead. Yeah, this is why the glitch zone I'm not good at. I'm just going to try a new game. The other thing that I was doing this year, actually, was because I finally got myself a VR set. So I've been doing a lot of VR games, and I was really happy to be able to play a lot of VR games, and you could see me making a mockery of myself in my new room, basically just flailing around with the controllers. The first one I played was a shooting gallery type game called Wilde, which basically is just a bunch of mutated fish and alligators and stuff are coming to try to attack you, and you just have to shoot them out of the water. It's a lot of fun, and I actually forgot to duck. Being that I'm in VR, I can actually move around like this, and I'm just letting the items just hit me in the face, which was kind of stupid of me, but I realized after a while that I can actually, move. So that was actually pretty cool. I don't like that. Yeah, that's it. Yeehaw! Oh! Ah! Yeah, now I got it. Ah. 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 Oh! Power Hawa! The next game I played after that was a game called Flipping Death. It's made by a company that a game company that did another game very similar called Stick It to the Man. The animation's very bizarre, but it works really well with this off-the-wall, wacky design. The idea is that your character takes on death and has to basically try to solve puzzles in the afterlife. It's very unusual, but the idea that basically the world will work like this, the real world will be like this, and then the afterlife is just the other mirror image on the other side, and you keep going back and forth between the two by possessing bodies. It was really fun. The writing, I was told, was done by Ryan North of Dinosaur Comics. And it shows. It's got some really wacky characters and really funny story elements, which I thought was, it's worth it to play.
Ever play with boys and ghouls? That's what Vera always said. Ah!
What? What's wrong?
What's wrong? Vera's head is on fire! You didn't notice that? Hello? People say Vera's crazy, but at least she knows when someone's head is on fire! Ha!
I then followed it up with just what they called a VR experience, basically where you're inside the space, and it was called Cairo's Tale, The Big Egg. And it was just a little story about a bird and a little magician who get a giant egg landed on in their room, and basically they had to take care of it. Whoa! Whoa, jeez. I then followed it up with another short VR experience simply called Butts. Very, very immature, but you know what? It's fun. What are you expecting with something called Butts, right? And then I played a little bit of a game called Beat Blocks VR. This game, I find that not a lot of people know about it, and I really enjoy it. Think Tetris, but in a 3D space. So you've got like a 5x5 grid, and you're basically grabbing Tetris blocks out of the sky and placing them into the grid as you're playing the game. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. Nice. It's extremely zen. I really enjoy playing it. It's a lot of fun to just basically sit there, or stand there as it was, and basically just walk around this environment and just basically be placing things as you grab them. It feels very relaxing. I really like it, and I'd highly recommend it for anybody who enjoys a good puzzle game. There we go. Now that worked. That was luck that worked. Okay, so the next game that I played, and I knew that this was going to be a little bit heavy getting into it when I started playing it, it was a game called I Hope. It's a coming-of-age story about a little, elfling-like girl called Hope, who there's a monster basically taking over the islands, and it's called Cancer. Now, this might be a little heavy-handed, but the game is an allegory to fighting cancer, and the game is meant to be an engagement for kids who are battling cancer themselves. Something to give them something to distract them, something to also put them in control of their own battle, as it were.
It will remind you of the greatest power of all.
the game got to me. It was pretty emotionally touching. It was very, very moving for me. And, I mean, I'm really happy to have played that game. That game was... I didn't expect it to be as much of an emotional hit as it was to me. But I thought it was a good game. It was cute. It had a lot of heart. And, I mean, fighting cancer, obviously, that's something that no one should. Not even kids. Kids, well, especially not kids. They definitely shouldn't be fighting that kind of thing so young in their lives. So, I mean, to play something like that, and also I just read here that all of the proceeds from the game are going to Game Changer Charity, which is a non-profit, which is, their mission is to spread hope and love to children staying in hospitals. So, good on the developer on that. I'm really happy with the support I get. Sorry if I get a little emotional, but I mean, this is what I can do. And maybe I can find some other ways of doing things for raising money and stuff like that, but I mean, this is something that I really just enjoy. Like, I mean, not something that I can do consistently. I would love to be like a YouTube streamer and start doing this for charity all the time or something like that. Need to find the time. If I could do that, or, you know, the whole get Unity running or something and try that. So, I've got ideas. I've got thoughts, but all I have to do is see if I can actually act on them. I think that game hit me a little bit more than I was expecting it to. I knew it was, like, not bad, just emotionally draining. And I don't like to toot my own horn, but I definitely know I'm a kind soul. I just wish that nobody hurt. Following I Hope, I did a couple more games for the rest of the night, and I actually spent a lot of time in this one called Job Simulator. This is a game that came out when VR was fairly young, but the game still has a lot of legs on it. The idea is that basically robots have taken over the world, and you are simulating what was a job. However, the robots don't have a good entire grasp of what job is, and so therefore doing stuff like being an auto mechanic, or being a short order cook. You can kind of make a lot of mistakes, but they are hilarious mistakes. The developers for this one obviously knew that people would try everything and anything that they had available to them, and so they managed to make a very good game, a very good simulation, as it were. And it's got a lot of laughs. It's a lot of fun. Highly recommend getting that one if you can get that one.
I'm just having the worst day ever. My tires are shot, and I need some replacements.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Your tires are shot, so let's deal with that first. What the... How did you drive on this? Is that... What? There's nothing on here. What the heck? How is anybody... Ah, there we go. Let's go with something. Oh. Well, oh, okay. Well, I guess I could go with this one. Is it this one? No. Oh, donuts. Okay. Maybe donuts on the front. Steel on the back. I guess we'll have to... Let's see here. How the heck were you driving on this? There you go. Whoa! Let's give you something strong, huh? Oh, how about that as a spare tire? That's great. There. Okay.
Great. Now fill it up with whatever kind of ingredients you want.
Well, it should go in there. and a cherry. There. I think that's a good one. Let's, okay. Okay, I'm making popcorn soup. Potato, corn, and cookie soup. Wow! Okay. Oh, nice.
Now we need to deal with any potential insect problems. Look around and see if you can find anything.
Oh my god.
Yikes, that's not good. You need to do something about these guys. Get rid of them quick! Well, I guess that'll have to do. Here comes the health inspector.
Order up. This one was a recommendation from my good friend Raven. The Haunted Island, a Frog Detective game. Was a quick 1-hour game that you basically just walked around an island. The owner of the island thought that he was hearing ghosts, and he hired ghost scientists to try to solve the problem. And then when they couldn't figure anything out, they brought in the Frog Detective. That one was fun. It had a lot of heart. That game had a lot of interesting characters. They were fun. They were silly. The characters looked cool. They danced, which I thought was kind of cool too. I didn't expect them to be dancing, or at least even break dancing, which was kind of funny. But yes, really enjoyed it. It had a lot of character. On Saturday, the final game that I played was called A Shopping Trip to Eklan. Now, this game was a little VR game that was sort of like, what do they call it? Where's Waldo? Or is it Where's Wally in England? And the idea is basically you've got a 3D space that you can just kind of dig into and open spaces and look into the rooms, and you had a a list of items that you were trying to find. I really enjoyed it because there's these little tiny characters that are only about, this big when I'm staring at them in VR space, and they're just looking at me, they're walking around, living their life, but, it was so cute. I thought that, I'm hoping to see more from that developer there. This was just a small piece of a bigger game that they were hoping to make, so I'm hoping that I see more from them on that one. And then, going on to Sunday. I've just been talking about the Saturday games at this point. Sunday, I went through a few more games in further detail because I wanted to either finish a game or, see what was going on with most of it. So I went through a few games from start to finish. The first one is a game called Contrast, which was made by the people who did a game called We Happy Few right now. And that game is, again, another one of those procedurally generated games where the world is never the same every time you play it. But Contrast had a really neat mechanic. The idea was that with a bright light shining, your character could blend into the wall as a shadow and then use the shadow to get up onto higher platforms or manipulate, walk around in those kind of spaces, which was a very neat idea at the time. I'd never seen anything like it. Actually, really haven't seen anything since then, but there was a new Legend of Zelda, A Link Between Worlds, that did something similar. The character was able to go into the wall. But not a lot of games do it, and I think that's a neat mechanic that I don't see as much of for games. Another VR game that I played right to completion was called Form, which dealt with a lot of working with tangible, VR objects. So basically, I was manipulating square cubes, pulling levers, and moving things and hitting bands of light with another tool to make music. It was a lot of fun, a lot of visual, wonderment. You have a lot of this kind of... I know that I was kind of like gazing around at the space because it had a lot of visually impressive environments, and I really like that, and I think I might go and take a look and see if they developed anything else like that, because that's something I'd love to keep doing more of. Oh, baby. Whoa! Whoa. Am I supposed to... Oh. So... And then to the... That. And then... That. And... That. And... That. I followed that one up with a game by the people who did Bendy and the Ink Machine. They did another game called Showdown Bandit. This one for me was it was a miss for me. I didn't really enjoy myself. It didn't really have a grip. I couldn't really, I was just, my character moved slowly and walked around, and they had a pop toy gun, and, there was horror elements. But for, they were, the whole game was based on, marionettes. So their whole horror thing was, don't look up, But they never went into that for as much as I played it. I don't know if they were going to be doing anything more with it. But, I tried it for a while. I got frustrated. But, at least I tried it. I wanted to see what that game was all about.
Found the way. You can't look up if you don't have eyes.
Then one more game that I went from beginning to end was a game called The Spectrum Retreat. It was a game where I basically I had seen this game over and over again, especially in my, once I picked it up, it just kept showing up in my game backlog, and I was like, I want to play this game, I have no idea what's going on. And it revolves around a character who's in a hotel that's managed by a bunch of robots. And everything seems alright to start, but then you get a phone where someone's trying to tell you that you have to hack into the system and try to basically get to the roof. And it takes a long time for you to get to the roof because you're going from floor to floor to floor. You're going from floor to floor to floor, and you're solving puzzles using the phone, which is a really weird mechanic of being able to take a color and then apply the color elsewhere. It was kind of an unusual design, and it had near the end, I had to resort to a walkthrough because I got stumped. And at one point I actually got stuck, which really frustrated me. All the other puzzles, I never got stuck to the point where I, couldn't, die and restart the stage. It just really, that bothered me, but the entire story, I just wanted to see what was going on. So, unfortunately, the game centers around a character who, it looks like their family had a son or a daughter who had to get medical treatment, and they couldn't pay the bills, and on top of that, some government figure was basically promising a healthcare plan that would help, but in doing so it actually cost more money in order to do it, and it looks like the person that you're controlling kind of lost his mind because he lost their kid, and started trying to off the people who they had tried to help, or tried to help them, and that got dark. This was not something I was anticipating as a storyline. I didn't know that going into this, especially with the extra life. That was a nice connection, but I didn't expect that. And so, I mean, it was a neat story. Kind of went a little long, but I mean, I enjoyed it. I wanted to see what would happen, and then, of all things, it's it splits at the end because you get to choose what your character does at the end of the game. So that one was. I enjoy that one. I mean, if you like puzzle games like Portal, I'd say that Spectrum Retreat would be one that you'd enjoy as well.
Good morning. It's good to see you well. And look, the weather really has picked up, hasn't it?
And then finally on Sunday night to finish off, I saved this one for it, went blind into it. I had no idea what I was expecting. I picked up Rick and Morty's Virtual Rick-ality, which puts you in the hands of a clone Morty, and you have to basically do a bunch of different tasks.
Morty clone, pay attention to me. I need you to take this laundry and put it in the washing machine. And if that's too confusing of instructions for you, there's a dry erase board that I put up in the garage here. The dry erase board area, you'll see I wrote instructions on what you're supposed to do.
They put a lot of things around Rick's garage so you can play around with them. So and of course, because it's Rick's garage, it's got hidden compartments and, a computer underneath the desk. Oh.
Great way to go, Clone Morty. You broke my computer. You really have a delicate touch.
Things, a portal, obviously, so you can go into different rooms, and there's a lot to do, and I just basically kind of lost myself in there for probably a good 2 hours, just goofing off in the space, but every once in a while you'd get a call from Rick, who'd ask you to do something, and you wouldn't even realize that it was one of the, tasks that goes through the game from start to finish. I didn't even finish all of the tasks, as it were. So, I went to a point where I was shooting bugs, I went to a point where I was fixing Rick's car, I had a point where I was raising a little alien and got freaked out because, didn't expect an alien to basically just land right in front of my face.
Oh my god, this is perfect, Clone Morty. It imprinted on you.
But that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I mean, the problem is that I would love to have more people play it, but obviously I can't let kids play it because it's Rick and Morty. But it was fun nonetheless, and also, I want people to play VR games. I'd love to play more VR games. I'm hoping at some point that I can actually get my nephews and niece over and play a game of Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, so that somebody can wear the headset, and then the rest of us are all trying to solve, help them try to defuse the bomb. I'm really hoping that we can do that at some point, because I really think those kind of games where you've got what they call asynchronous play, that is the kind of thing that I would really like to play at some point, and I feel that would be a lot of fun to do, especially because VR, you've only got one of these, so how are you supposed to basically play with more than one person when you only have one VR headset, right? Oh! Crap. Alright, link parts. 8 link parts refers to valid link parts to functions. See front for guide. Each end link is between 2 link parts of valid circle. It's 1 link ending in a number, 1 link ending in a letter. I think these two would go together.
What do you call that fuckery?
At least 1 link part with no duplicate colors. So yeah, I went through a lot of different games and I played a lot of fun games. I had a couple of games that I didn't really enjoy as much as I expected to. But you know what? The whole point of this is for me to play games, play through my backlog, play games I'm interested in, and even if it's not a game that, you know, I really enjoyed that much, it's still a game that I wanted to play at some point. So, I mean, even if it ended up being a game that wasn't so fun for me, at least I gave it a try. That's the important thing. The most important thing, though, is the donations and the support, which I have to continue to thank everyone for. You know, every year, I've raised more and more money. Actually, last year, though, I managed to raise $1,150 US, which was just mind-blowing. But actually, oh, it's right here. So far, you know, over the past 6 years, I've actually gotten 3 medals from Extra Life, and the one in the middle there, you might be able to see it there, it's gold, which means that, you know, that was from raising $1,000. The other 2 are from $500. This year, I'll get another silver medal just from you, from all of your donations, and, you know, that's so supportive. The one thing that, you know, I'm, you know, surprised that we have to do, but at the same time, sick kids, obviously, they don't deserve to be in the hospital. They didn't ask to be there. They have it tough, and the best thing for us to be able to do is make them smile, even if it's, you know, go and see them, play games with them. Maybe I'm thinking next year that I might join one of the guilds because, you know, there's a Toronto-based guild for sick kids. I think it might be something fun for me to do, meet some new people, and maybe raise a little bit more money that way. But, you know, I think that basically, you know, I really just think that everyone being so supportive, it's very, you know, I don't like to toot my own horn on this kind of stuff, but I'm just happy that I can do this. I can support people. I can support kids that, you know, aren't at home. And, you know, the holidays are coming up soon, so that's the heavy part of it, you know. Sometimes they have to stay over the holidays, and that's rough. And the least we can do is put a little bit of joy in their hearts. In any case, like I said before, I'll put the description in the description below. I'll put the link to the donations. Donations are open right up until the end of December. And obviously, because in case you wanted to donate on the weekend and you couldn't get a chance to because of the DDoS attack, then please do so. To be honest, if I were to hit that $1,000 US target again, I would be ecstatic. I would be so happy. And I mean, people have been donating left, right, and center, and, you know, all it would take would be 4 more people to donate $50 to get me to that point. So, and, you know, I'm really so thankful. You know, it really, I have a lot of trouble putting things into words when it comes to things like this, and I just can't say it enough. I continue to say it over and over again, that I'm thankful for everyone's support, whether it's monetary or just giving me, you know, a little bit of, you know, support, you know, just to keep me going on this kind of thing. In any case, once again, thank you so much. This has been, you know, 6th year. I can continue to do this for as long as I can. I would even love to be able to do it more than once every year, because just once a year almost doesn't seem enough, and I have enough games that I could definitely do it a lot more, and I think that would be great. Happy holidays to everyone, and we will see you soon, okay? Bye.